Hi everybody, welcome back. My apologies that this video is running a little bit late this week. We had a storm hit and we had a power outage for 6 hours. 6 hours we were in the dark. Thankfully, I managed to crawl around on my hands and knees and find a lighter and get a few candles lit. But needless to say, if I'm going to be living this remotely, I do need to get myself some sort of emergency blackout kit. It's all right during the daytime when you get a power cut because you can go around and find bits and bobs. In the evening, as it were, it was pitch black. I was literally in the worst horror film that you could imagine, and I still don't know the house that well. So yes, that was definitely an experience. But anyway, we are here and we are here to discuss the wonderful weekend, which was Remembrance Weekend and Armistice Day. I have got a little bit of news to do with the two from Montecito right at the end of the video, because they went to a celebrity party and those photographs have now been removed. Could it be another attention-seeking stunt? Or could it be that even the Kardashians don't want to associate with the toxic duo? But the more important stuff to talk about, let's talk about Remembrance Weekend. We have certainly had a few beautiful days with incredible coverage of remembrance events and tributes. This year was the 80th anniversary since the end of World War II, and it fills me with so much pride every single year how so many people come together and pay tribute to all the many lives lost to war so that we could have the freedoms that we have today. Even the animals have their very own tributes and a special purple poppy to commemorate them. Although I must admit, a lot of the animal tributes, they're guaranteed to make me cry, as do a lot of things over Remembrance Weekend. The postbox toppers are one of my personal favourites every year, with their incredible skills and creativity that put smiles on people's faces, both young and old. I can barely sew a button on a shirt, so this absolutely hats off to the ladies and the gentlemen that make these beautiful designs every year. We often see landmarks all over the country light up with various displays, and Commonwealth countries as well. Big Ben has always been a beautiful one, but at this angle, these photographs really captured a wonderful moment for reflection, as you can see the background of the Winston Churchill statue looking over at the poppies cascading down the iconic landmark. Another beautiful sculpture, which has actually existed since May 2014, is in Seaham in County Durham, and it was sculpted by Ray Lonsdale. This was only meant to be temporary, but local residents raised over 100,000 to keep the statue known as Tommy. And this year, Tommy was adorned with a beautiful poppy display that spilled down onto the red stones, creating a poppy on the floor. It truly was a beautiful tribute. The London cabbies always put a smile on my face. They all lined up outside all of the stations, ready and waiting to take veterans to and from the cenotaph services across London, and they do this completely free of charge. I think that's a wonderful reminder of how amazing London used to be and can still be. This year, we also saw the return of Routes of Remembrance. Originally called Poppies to Paddington, it was started during the pandemic by the Veterans Charity and Great Western Railway, where many veterans were distressed that they could not take part in remembrance services. Hundreds of wreaths are transported via train from across the country and delivered to London and other major cities for services. And this year, Queen Camilla surprised a few commuters up at Chippenham Station when she arrived to escort the wreaths to London Paddington. The wreaths are made by veterans, community groups and schools, and Her Majesty added one of her very own. The movement has grown now so big that the wreaths travel by ferry and by air operators, as well as the train services. On Saturday was one of my favourite remembrance events, although I have to say I do have to invest in a seriously big box of tissues. Guaranteed I'm dehydrated by the end of this. This, of course, is the Festival of Remembrance. The event is always spectacular, not just for the eyes and the ears, but also for the heart, with storytelling, personal testimonies from those living and those who have passed, performances by military bands, choirs, and some very impressive performances by the usual smattering of big-name stars. To kick off the show, we had the legend that is Rod Stewart. You had a beautiful performance by Sam Ryder, and as he was singing, you had the charity Scotty's Little Soldiers, and these are where children have lost a parent in service, and they walk down the stairs with the Book of Remembrance, and I was in bits. Keela Settle from The Greatest Showman, and the knockout performance for me was Hannah Waddingham. She is a powerhouse. She's famous on stage as well as off stage. A few of you will remember her from Ted Lasso, and when this woman sings, oh, there couldn't have been a dry eye in the house as she did her rendition of We Will Meet Again. It wasn't just her singing that set me off. It was this moment when they started showing all of the veterans' faces on the floor. Honestly, I was sobbing my little heart out. Watching the poppies falling down is another moment. At the beginning of the 2-minute silence, you watch the petals fall down and land on the hats, the military personnel, and the flags. And it's one of the most beautiful and poignant moments for me throughout the entire weekend. I'm even like welling up trying to tell you about it. Honestly, it's so beautiful though, and if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it is on catch up. But that aside, we did have an incredible surprise as well. Prince William, who had spent the week previously, obviously in Brazil with the Earthshot Prize and the COP30 summit, I'm not sure he was back or he was back with probably little to no sleep. But the Princess of Wales arrived alongside the other royals getting ready to take their seats inside the Royal Albert Hall. And she had a rather special escort in the form of their eldest son, future heir to the throne, Prince George, who was looking rather dapper. Prince George is now beginning to have a very slow introduction to public life under the watchful eye of his parents, where we had seen him earlier in the year as well as part of the commemorations for the 80th anniversary of VJ Day. Prince George had apparently asked to continue on with his parents to meet the veterans, and I think this is wonderful to see him and of course other children at events like this. It's so important to teach the next generation to continue the traditions of remembrance, and we will not forget. On Remembrance Sunday, the crowds were in London to watch the parade, which sees over 800 military personnel take part alongside 10,000 veterans who marched from the Horse Guard Parade to Whitehall and the Cenotaph. Up on the balconies, we saw Queen Camilla stood alongside the Princess of Wales. On the other balcony, there was the Duchess of Edinburgh, who was stood alongside the Duke of Kent. And then we had the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. The service that takes place is to serve as a physical reminder for the nation as we honour all of those that have served and sacrificed in the UK and the Commonwealth, not just in World War I and World War II, but all wars. Wreaths are laid by members of the royal family, members of Parliament, former Prime Ministers, representatives of the armed forces, and also representatives from various Commonwealth countries. There were some really lovely photographs taken of the royals, as there is every single year, as they lay the wreaths. There were some incredible ones of the King and Prince William just as they walked past each other. After the King and the Prince of Wales had laid their wreaths, we saw the Duke of Edinburgh, followed by the Queen's Equerry, Major Ollie Blunkett, the King's Equerry, Lieutenant Colonel Johnny Thompson, and the Princess Royal's Private Secretary, Lieutenant Colonel Catherine Skinner, also lay wreaths at the Cenotaph. Princess Anne was in Australia attending various commemorative events alongside her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence. The Princess Royal is Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Australian Corps of Signals and was seen in uniform inspecting the guards at Victoria Barracks in Sydney. Now, Sydney also has an incredibly big and beautiful landmark light up in honour of Remembrance, and this actually lit up Sydney Opera House at dawn on Armistice Day. Speaking of which, Catherine, Princess of Wales, attended her first Armistice Day service held at the National Memorial Arboretum and looked every inch the Queen in waiting. She looked so regal and so beautiful. Her entire outfit was stunning. I loved her hat. Another striking feature of the entire outfit was, of course, the Princess of Wales' hair. In an intricate updo, I'm sure she must be a hairdresser's dream to be able to do such elaborate designs. And then I think it was mine. little bunny tail maybe if I was lucky. You'd need a lot of hair extensions for this bad boy is all I'm saying. Catherine, of course, looked graceful as she laid a wreath and paid paid her respects during the service, after which she went on to meet with some of the honoured guests in attendance. They looked absolutely delighted alongside their families to meet with the princess, who took her time chatting with them and dropped to the floor to do so. After meeting with various military personnel and military family students whose parents were currently on deployment, Catherine also spent time happily chatting to the waiting crowds and even shared a moment with veteran royal photographer Arthur Edwards, which was a sweet interaction between them. Arthur has been taking photographs of the royal family for many, many decades, including a very young Prince William and a Prince Harry. He has also been taking photographs of Catherine since she first entered into the royal fold. You can just see that Catherine is a really lovely person who just radiates a warmth and kindness with everybody that she meets. The way that she was chatting on the floor with the veterans, again, was a really sweet moment. You can tell that she's not rushed. It's not a photo op. She wants to sit there. She wants to talk to them. She wants to listen to them. It's one of the things that I really respect about her, and also her husband, Prince William, who was also photographed later that day talking to many World War II veterans as they were being hosted at a special reception at Windsor Castle. Prince William was there alongside other members of the royal family. You saw the Duke of Edinburgh, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, and of course the King and Queen, who had put together a lovely reception at the castle to honour the veterans who served in the Pacific in World War II as part of the 80th anniversary of VJ Day, which was on the 15th of August, where we saw veteran Yavar Abbas give a moving speech that brought Queen Camilla to tears. The King was spotted giving Mr. Abbas a warm embrace at the reception. When I see this number of veterans all together and you see the royals chatting to them, can you imagine? You see photographs being shared, but the stories that all of these people collectively still have to tell. It's honestly something that I find wonderful, but also heartbreaking that each year there's less and less of them. Yes, I know it's the circle of life and it's got to happen, but it just makes you think this is why it's so important to keep telling these stories, to keep reading the tributes, to keep reading the poems and the letters, to keep the memories of these amazing and courageous people alive for many, many generations to come. Every year, the royal family do an amazing job of bringing together the nation across multiple events, both here and in the Commonwealth, to honour those that gave so much for our freedoms that we have today. Something that I personally believe politicians alone would never be able to do. They would never be able to bring the nation together on a global stage like the royal family do. It's one of the many reasons why I support them, and it's also one of the many reasons why I perhaps give Harry and Meghan a bit of a hard time. But that's because they want to be treated like the rest of the royals, but they do not behave like members of the royal family. The royal family are dedicated to serving the nation. Harry and Meghan are dedicated to serving themselves. You would have thought, with Harry's drive and enthusiasm to appear over in Canada supporting the veterans, that he might have actually reared his head on Remembrance Sunday or Armistice Day. But no, strangely enough, not a peep when I guess his brother wasn't over hosting the Earthshot Prize or appearing on behalf of the King. Last we saw of Harry, he was busy schmoozing in a tuxedo with the Kardashians at a celebrity-packed James Bond-themed party for Kris Jenner's 70th birthday. But don't worry, Harry was seen wearing a poppy. What a tribute. But in saying that, that was a tribute that even his wife could not bring herself to do. Even though Meghan insists on calling herself a duchess, she is to be treated as a duchess, and she has her duchess logo on absolutely everything that you could imagine. She couldn't quite bring herself to wear a poppy, but she did give an excuse and said that she was unable to obtain one because it's hard apparently to get hold of poppies in America. Everybody was quick to call that out as utter bullshit. And also, I'm pretty certain that Harry has plenty of spare poppies that she could have worn. No, Meghan simply chose not to wear one because she doesn't care. Her titles and her association to the royal family are for monetary gain only. Harry cared just long enough to clash with his brother's events in Brazil, which to me yet again proves that he was just using the veterans for self-promotion and to stick the middle finger at his brother. No, this sort of event, this sort of party is the vacuous, vapid, vanity-driven, pretentious, money-obsessed world that he sold his family down the river to gain access to. He betrayed his grandmother, the then Queen of the United Kingdom and Commonwealth realms, by tricking her into giving them titles, all so that they could run away to America and become celebrities and try and set up some sort of tacky royal rival court. Harry was once a much-loved member of the royal family. He was once an asset, a prince of the United Kingdom, and now Harry is nothing more than a knob. And when I say knob, I mean a doorknob, because his only purpose that his titles now serve is to open doors into the celebrity world for his wife, who had never been able to open them before. Harry appearing at that party on the eve of Remembrance Sunday further signifies his utter fall from grace. He's gone from honouring the fallen on Remembrance Sunday to honouring a woman who became famous because she cashed in on her own daughter's sex tape. I mean, I don't think there could be more of a divide between Harry's former life and the life that he leads now. So on that note, guys, I will be back with you very soon because we've had a story come out that doesn't bode well for Harry's next court case. See you soon. Bye.